So we are ready for the second panel. And, you know, did we first talk about nurturing a more representative network of changemakers? And you heard from 3 amazing women how they're doing that. Now I'm going to invite my dear friend Elise, Hafsat Abiola, and Oliveira to talk with me about sharing what's it like to share leadership for a more equitable world, and I mean, and how are they actually achieving this? So, ladies, come on up. Welcome. So I know that was actually originally your idea to start with the little, but I know you also have something that you want to do with all of us later, and so I'm giving you that space to do as well. Well, we met, I think, through COP, but also through here. I sometimes feel you and I, together with Sophie Lambin, I miss her dearly, she's in Bhutan right now, are the 3 musketeers. But your movement, She Changes Climate, really touched home to me because I saw you're a former politician. You know how difficult it is to invade a male-dominated, you know, area or arena where so many of the decisions are being made that influence all of us. So could you tell me a little bit about what was your drive to do this, and maybe bring in the conversation as well, your role model that you often are connecting to when you actually are doing, like, because I just heard you, and congratulations with the launch of She Changes Climate France today. But so share with the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Carine. So it all started just before COP26 in Glasgow with my colleague Antoinette. We realized that there were no women on the COP presidency team in the UK in the 21st century. So we launched an open letter online, which was signed by 400 women leaders from around the world, politicians, business CEOs, activists. And the following year, we did it again for Egypt. It was signed by more than 1,000 leaders. And that open letter basically turned into a campaign. We're not really planning to launch a campaign, but there was such a movement of enthusiasm of women who wanted to help us, who said, you know, we're so desperate about the state of the world, and we believe in women leadership to solve this crisis, so let's do it together. And there's one woman in particular who inspired me in the climate negotiations. Her name is Ambassador Khan. She was the first woman to be a judge in Fiji, and she was also the chief negotiator for the COP23 presidency. And she brought into the climate negotiation the Talanoa dialogue, which is a Pacific tradition. And it's about bringing people together, giving everybody a voice in a circle of trust. Farmers, indigenous people, NGOs, government leaders from China, from US, from small island states. And with that dialogue, she basically built a movement for this 1.5 degree to stay alive. And she managed to get a COP decision agreed on the 1.5 degree target. But coming back to your question, I think there's actually one leader that comes to my mind today. Her name is Jacinda Ardern. I think you all know her. And I think of her because first I finished that book, Leading with Empathy. If you haven't read it, please do. And there's one image that comes to my mind. Maybe you remember when there was the Christian church attack. There was a picture of her holding another woman into her arms, basically hugging a Muslim woman. She was wearing a black scarf, and you could really see on her face the empathy. And that picture went around the world. It was even projected on the tallest building of Dubai, because with just one hug of sisterhood, she built a bridge of empathy and peace, and it was really healing for the whole world. And imagine with what's happening today in the Western, in the Middle East, I wish we had more of Jacinda Ardern leading many countries around the world.
Okay. Thank you for that. I will come back to what She Changes Climate is doing later and about all the amazing successes you've been able to reach. Anna, I would like to open the floor for you because you have been part of the New York Women Foundation for many, many years. I think we were living in New York at the same time back in the 80s. And so we were talking about, I remember wanting to run the New York Marathon in 12/12 when Hurricane Sandy, you know, hit New York. I mean, there was a total devastation. And I remember you were talking about, you know, by having more women in the climate resilience, you know, what that was actually doing for you. So would you be able to share a little bit more about that?
Thank you. And I want to congratulate you and ChangeNOW for focusing on women and doing it in a way that is not either or, that it is and, because if there's something that we know is that we need a paradigm that is not either this or either that, but it's all of us. And so, and it's important to do something different to obtain a different result, right? Because I love the hurry up group, just want to say that, the sense of urgency, the sense of coming together. I want to say a big shout out to Flavia, another Brazilian, creating good trouble, all of us together. Think of the work of the New York Women's Foundation. We're talking about climate change in an urban setting. We're talking about New York City. We're talking about women as problem solvers in an urban setting. We are disproportionately impacted by climate change, but we also are disproportionately represented as solution makers, and I think that that's something that we all share. So Hurricane Sandy happens, and this is, you know, we are in philanthropy, and as Flavia was saying, the underinvested in women is pathetic. And so in climate justice, women working in climate justice, even less, right? 2% of philanthropic dollars go to women in general, and within that, as Flavia said, 0.2% to women working in climate justice. So Hurricane Sandy hits, and philanthropy in New York creates these response funds. It's always a good thing. There is a sense of urgency sometimes, which you're trying to create also with hurry up, right? There is a crisis. But when the crisis becomes tangible, philanthropy responds. But what we noticed is that that response did not really get the dollars, you know, more than $100 million did not get to the hands of women working in the most impacted communities by Hurricane Sandy. Parts of Lower Manhattan, parts of Staten Island. These are also communities where there's a lot of African immigrants, a lot of African American women, a lot of Latinas, a lot of Asian women, day laborers, workers, you know, house workers. And our role was to make sure that the dollars would get to them, because they were the first responders. You know, when everything was flooded, when people could not, in the public housing complexes in New York City, families could not get anything. It was the community organizations led by women that responded first, and they shifted. So that's something that is really important for us to remember in urban settings, the solution making of women. And not just in emergencies, but also creating other ways of doing business, like a custom collective, which is a collective, a cooperative of women that recycle fabric. New York City, the fashion industry is an incredible industry, right? And they are immigrants. They're African immigrants, they're Latina immigrants, they're Asian immigrants. So every solution is a local solution, right? And we can't do that without women being at the center. So as you said before, and I love the experience of the context of minority and majority, but it's the issue of being together, but centering the voices of women and others who have lived experience, right? Who are in the communities creating solutions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that deserves an applause. So Hafsat, you've been active on many levels. I mean, you are seen as a human rights, civil rights activist, democracy activist. You are the founder of Kudirat Initiative for Democracy. You're also the president of the Women Africa Initiative. You are the founder, one of the founders of the Connected Women Leaders. We met actually through a different angle, which is Project Dandelion. I'm very, very proud to be wearing my dandelion. And I haven't heard the word Project Dandelion enough here yet. I hope by Wednesday evening everyone will be wearing this, men and women. But would you want to share with the audience why was it launched? Who are behind it? Because I mean, I love the current campaign that's going around women and climate. You know, climate. I love it. I mean, everything affects women. So,
thank you, Carine. I think first I want to share what motivates me. I think it connects. So, like the lady that spoke about losing her mother, I lost my mom because of the democratic movement in my country. We were fighting for democracy in my country, and my father, actually before we started fighting for democracy, the military said that they wanted to have a democratic system, and my father ran for elections as for president, and he won. But after the elections, the military said, no, no, we made a mistake. We don't want to have a democratic system. So this was a crisis. And they were negotiating. My father was leading the negotiation with the army, but it went nowhere. And after 1 year, they put him in jail and charged him for treason. So my mom, who was a high school graduate and a mother of 7, an entrepreneur in my country, became an organizer, the leader for the pro-democracy movement. This is important because, you know, whereas my father had been one of the most successful businessmen in the country, she was an average person. So she went to the market women, she went to the journalists, she went to the students, she went to the trade unions, and they organized together what was an incredibly powerful movement. Nigeria, my country, depends on petroleum for 90%, 80 to 90% of government revenue. The oil workers of my country went on strike because of the military, and they held the country for 3 months without selling petrol, nearly destroying the government. So when the government was able to arrest the leaders of the oil workers, and they found out that my mom had financed the strike and helped to plan the strike, they decided that if putting the husband in jail wasn't a strong enough message, they should send a stronger one. So 2 days to my graduation from university, they ambushed my mother's car and gunned her down. But the point I want to make about the woman, the rising of my mother, is that after we fought, when she was killed, I joined others and we kept fighting until we got a democratic system in 1999. I'm happy to tell you that till today, my country has never gone back to military rule. But I'm also ashamed to tell you that women cannot be seen in the political leadership of my country. And it's because of a lack of sponsorship. Now, coming back to the point you've made about Project Dandelion, what is Project Dandelion? Project Dandelion is about sponsoring women leaders to activate for climate. We're identifying women who are leading in different areas. My sister from Cameroon, who is leading as a midwife, climate is also your issue. My sister that is working, I don't know what your country is, Bangladesh, on sanitation, water and sanitation. Climate, I'm sure you know this because you saw the floods recently in Bangladesh. You know, climate is everybody's issue, and all women who are leading in the different sectors of the world in which they're leading need to begin to put climate front and center. Now, the thing about women is that perhaps more than even men, because there's a certain guts that men have, a certain audacity that men have. So if you talk to people that are in banks, they'll tell you that if you look at one man with a certain portfolio, and you see a woman who is doing twice the man's business, 3 times the man's business, and they both come to meet the bank manager, the man that is doing 1/3 of the business the woman is doing will ask for 10 times the money the woman is asking for. Women just often are more timid, maybe because the world has been telling them, oh, you're a woman, you should know your place. What we need women to know is that when it comes to Mama Earth, we are center stage.
Absolutely.
We have to take charge. And we already know this. We know this because not just Elise or Anna or Carine, we have elders in our group. Even there's a group called the Elders, and their chair is Mary Robinson, the former president of Ireland. When she awakened to the fact that she owes it to this child to take a seat and fight for this issue. She stood up, and nobody has forced her to sit down. There was an event that Elise organized in November where the COP president was going to be speaking at this event. And she, Mama Mary, I call her Mama Mary because of her age, she was interviewing the president of COP. She started the interview asking the president of COP if he started divesting from fossil fuels. The guy was embarrassed. Nobody had been asking this because for a lot of the people at COP, they think this is, the dirty thing that nobody needs to talk about. And many male leaders don't talk about it because they don't want to be penalized, marginalized, pushed aside. Mama Mary was thinking of her grandchildren. She asked him, when he started trying to edge, she kept pushing on this issue. It was, you have to go online. The video of this interview she did with him has been viewed 1 billion times, before even the event of COP itself in December. By the time women went into the COP event and they organized together for the first time in the history of COP, in the 30-year history of COP, they now had language about the need to, what do they call it? Phase down.
Transition out of fossil
fuels. They said phase down, not phase out. But this was the first time. Do you see the power of women, my sisters? Do you see, or are you still asking questions about your power? So we have to stand up. All of you, I have a pin for you. All of these ladies are wearing it. They didn't even know. Anna didn't know I was going to be here because I'm one of the people driving this. She came wearing it. Carine came wearing it. You all must wear it, because when you wear it, you signal to other women that you are in that room. So that woman that might be in the center, in a decision-making space, will look, she'll see you, she knows that her sister is there, then watch her become a lioness on behalf of the climate. And we need more lionesses.
Well, people often ask me, what does dandelion stand for? And I say, well, it's the only flower that grows on every continent around the world. And, you know, when the wind blows, it goes anywhere else, and then it just starts again. So I think we're all dandelions.
Yes, and that's the most important thing, is that it blows, it just blows. And so the whole point of the dandelion is to create more dandelions. We're not interested in leadership for Hafsat, leadership for Elise. Why? Because we are 8 billion people on the planet. Is it just the number of us in this room that is going to make the difference? Is it just us? We will make more. We will make enough to save the planet. Look, come, my little girl, come. Come, come. This is why. This is why. This is why, not even for her, but our own children when they come. We have to rise now and prepare for the world that our children will see. This is a fight for the life of humanity. There's no bigger fight than this. So set aside whatever your preconceptions about who you are, the power you have. You have enough power. If we don't have enough, we will get it. Whatever we need to get, we will get it, because the world cannot deal with our failure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that energy and power to drive change. So Elise, I had actually wanted you to be able to tell a little bit about that event in November. But I know that you have been in more situations like this, where you feel, and maybe you can share with us what happened in January during Davos, where we all came to Davos, and you know, it was announced that there was going to be not one woman on the presidency for 29 this year. And it was you that activated all of us. And as you know, Davos is a very male-oriented environment, and yes, a lot of women come every year, but most of the decisions are still being made behind back doors, and very, very few women are part of that. So please tell us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you, Carine, and thank you, Hafsat, my sister. I'm glad she brought it up, because that dialogue between Mary Robinson and Sultan El Jaber, we were just basically exposing the truth. And it was a butterfly effect, and honestly, nobody knew that it would have such an impact. But because it built that public pressure on the COP presidency to have a COP decision on fossil fuels, I think it played a huge impact. And it was a moment of Project Dandelion and She Changes Climate together, and we were able to work together through that spirit of radical collaboration. It was going beyond our egos and logos, because we are in a state of emergency. We are facing a climate emergency, and so we have to work as one team for one planet. And also we have to build a new narrative of oneness, because we're all made of the same fabric. We're all born on the same planet Earth. We have the same great-great-grandmother, her name is Lucy, and we have the same children, they are cousins. So let's be together, let's be united. And that online summit was a demonstration of the power of women when they unite for climate.
Yes, but I was actually also referring to the fact that by activating all of us during Davos, and you had the Circle of Trust up at the Arctic base camp, you know, we all put pressure onto our governments, everyone who was in Davos, and on Friday they had announced that they were going to appoint women to the presidency of COP. That's the power that you have. So
yes, you're right, and it was because we have built an ecosystem, and because we are together, we are many voices, and actually our strength is the diversity. Our direction is the unity for gender equity and for climate. And it's because we had been working for 3 years, you know, actually it's like a garden of flowers, actually it's like gardening, making sure we have so many flowers of different shapes and different colors, and together we are stronger. And when we came to that decision that the COP29 presidency of Azerbaijan had appointed an organizing committee with no women, we were ready. And so there was also women business. Many partners, you know, were asking for diversity on the organizing committee, and The Guardian picked it up, and very quickly the She Changes Climate statement was picked up. But it was because we were a bigger movement that they finally decided to appoint 12 women on that committee.
yeah, fantastic. Congratulations, well, actually, to all of us in that sense. So Anna, I would like to hear from you. What are certain decisions that you have made that feels that that we are moving and shifting towards an equal world within your work?
Yes. So, and the world is the world of philanthropy, and is a philanthropy that follows leaders in community. That knows that problems and solutions live in the same place, and that their experiences and voices need to be funded as they are and need to be at the center. That there is an added value for all the rest of us. That is so important to connect movements with representation, movements with governance, governance of cities, states, countries, and global entities, which is, I think, embodied today in our conversations. And that it's so important for us to remember that collectively, you know, we women are both a destination and a means, right? We're both a destination and a means. And I think that that added value that we bring to the world is the difference that we all of us, need together, right? The same dynamics that bring our collectivity are the dynamics of sharing, are the dynamics of caring that we need to Mother Earth. And I think our sense of being more connected is so important. You know, it's not an accident that our health issues, and we women carry that for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, as was shared before, that our health issues are so related to our environment, right? In New York City, families, you know, where there's lead painting in housing, and that's all public housing. That's so much of other housing. The high incidence, the mothers deal with asthma in their kids, the life expectancy getting shorter, the birth rates discrepancies that we have, they're all related to environment, urban environments, and women are at the forefront. We have had, and I wanted to talk about representation on the local level, why it matters. So we fund activists that are doing urban farms, that are doing cooperatives, that are doing recycling, that are doing first responders, but also we fund women running for office. In New York City, for the first time, we have a city council that is a majority women. and that it's so important because they are also community leaders. And what are they bringing? They are bringing environmental, they are bringing a concept of economic development that is always connected to environmental justice. And that means that families and the decisions that are being made in the budget, in the legislation, are responsive to the needs of women and our families. And I wanted to say that. This is what I mean. We are a destination and a means, because with us come our families, and with our families comes everybody.
I love it. It's so, so important. We are reaching, unfortunately, the end of our 25-minute session, but I want to give all three of you the chance to, what's something that you really want the audience to take away from what you are doing at the moment, and how do you see the future? Are you hopeful? Hafsat.
I'm incredibly, I just think, you know, we have, when you look at the future right there, you have to deliver. And I feel that human beings were the kind of people that we really need to know that it matters, and then we rise up. And there's nothing that matters more in the world today than this issue of our climate and the emergency. And you know, when you look at her, I don't want to bring any attention, but you know where I'm saying we should look. Do you see that she looks as if she feels that we've already taken care of the problem? I mean, just look at her. She looks like she's so confident and she's joyful. I just don't even know how I would live with myself if we fail. So hopeful is not really the right word. It's just that failure is not an option. That's the most important thing. And then the one thing I want to leave everybody with is, on this climate issue, we're also divided. You know, within even France, people are so divided. Some people are like, we don't want to pay, and all these issues like this. And these are important issues, but I want to remind you that of the African proverb that says, when you want to go fast, you go alone. But when you want to go far, you go together. I just would love for us to reach out to our brothers and our sisters across the different divides on this climate issue and bring all of us together, because we only have one home, and it's not too much to protect it, and we can do it together. And I think that the concerns that many people have, that workers have, that work in mines and all of this, is that, so what will I do? We need to work with people like Anna, with Elise, with Carine, with different people, and come up with solutions. Not words, but actions, and give concrete solutions. But we can do this, and frankly, we have no other choice.
Absolutely, thank you. Anna.
So, you know, I'm so inspired by the three of you. I'm going to say that let's invest in each other. All of us, let's invest in each other. I was moved by the entrepreneurs that were pitching before. I just want to make a pitch for your pitches. I want to make a pitch for us to remember that, as Hafsa is saying, not only we are, but we are doing it. And Carine, when you spoke in the beginning, I was very moved by your love and for the generations that are coming and your commitment. And I think that that's all of us, right? The future is now. So let's behave now, creating the future that we want to see tomorrow together.
Thank you. Yes. Elise.
Thank you, Carine. Just to reflect on what my sisters have been saying, I'd like to close with a different way of doing, different way of being. So I'd like to invite all of you to stand up. And coming back to that hug I was talking about from Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, I want you to basically hold your hands, give each other a hug, and we are a circle, so we can finish with a circle of hope and trust. And let's just nurture that kindness and love for people and the planet.
Absolutely. Oh.
I love it.
Yeah, this is us. And it feels good, doesn't it? Yes. It feels good to feel someone else. We're all one. Thank you, Flavia. We're all one. Thank you, beautiful ladies. I'm going to invite the second round of pitches on stage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for that.